Welcome to Sacredly Selfish, a space where we flip the script on what it means to choose yourself.
I'm Megan, and together with Raju, we're diving into raw, real conversations that explore self love, boundaries, healing, and what happens when women stop abandoning themselves and start living in alignment.
Because being selfish isn't wrong. When it's sacred, it's revolutionary.
We're so glad you're here. Now, let's get selfish.
Hi, welcome back to Sacredly Selfish. Today's topic is something I know many of us have struggled with, if not most of us. It's a topic of allowing this one thing to have so much power over us, and that is a number. And that number is not age or your income. It is actually the number on the scale. This is something that I know that I personally have, and Megan has as well, struggled with throughout her life, where we have allowed that number that shows up in the morning to dictate our self worth and the rest of our day. And today's episode is surrounding our experiences with stepping on the scale and reminders that the scale is just a tool in your journey. I wanted to start off with saying that this is a very sensitive, vulnerable topic for me because it is something I still struggle with quite frequently. And I'm going to be very honest with that. And it is something I have struggled with more since I have had my children. There are days where it ends up taking over my full emotions and dictating how I'm going to move throughout the day. It follows me to how I'm going to dress that day. It follows me to what I'm going to pack for lunch. If I'm even going to pack a lot of food for lunch at times, it follows me all the way until I go to sleep and I wait till the next morning to step on the scale and see if it has changed and what my worth will be for that day. So it's a heavy topic for a lot of people. And it is a topic that I think we don't discuss enough because over the years, a lot of messaging has been that we need to be a certain weight. Even doctors will say, oh, you need to lose weight. You should be at this number for your height. And that's important if it's something that has to do with your health. So I do want to say that. I'm not saying the number doesn't matter at all, but when it's starting to affect you emotionally and mentally, and it's something that is becoming addictive, that's when we really need to step back and evaluate what's more important. Is that important to step on that scale and allow that number to determine how our day is going to be? Or is it important to see how you're really feeling inside? I always did put my fitness and the way I looked into the number on the scale throughout the years of my 20s. But I found that as I was getting in my 30s before I had kids, I was less reliant on that number. So I did have this period of time where I wasn't constantly weighing myself. I know I probably weighed myself every 2 weeks for majority of my adult life. But where it really became a struggle was after my life completely flipped upside down. I had children, my body changed. I didn't recognize myself in the mirror. When I was pregnant, I was weighing myself weekly because I wanted to stay within those limits that the internet tells you that you should only gain 20 to 30 pounds during your pregnancy. And I was weighing myself during that. And I would say that's where this vicious cycle, this addictive cycle with the scale really started, particularly after Giona was born. I was going through so much in life and the weight just was not coming off. I was doing all the right things in my mind. I was working out, I was eating pretty decent, but the weight was not moving. That's when I started intermittent fasting and throwing in that diet. And then every morning, stepping on the scale to see if the number was coming down became this cycle where early this year, I recognized it and I did seek therapy for it. But I noticed throughout this year, it still has been creeping in at times. Unfortunately, the scale, we allow it to dictate how beautiful we are, what our self-worth is, what our success is. If we're failures, we may feel shamed. And that's one thing I really want to highlight, that this is something we do in privacy and secrecy. And a lot of the times we do not talk about this because we are ashamed that we're doing this. I know for myself, it took me a lot to really voice to people that I love that, hey, I've been stepping every day on the scale, and I am already at the weight I wanted to be at, but because I created this cycle and I allowed this piece of metal and glass to have so much power over me, that now I cannot get out of this cycle and I need help because it is starting to make me feel like I am not worthy. I'm looking in the mirror and it's putting me in this dysmorphic loop of constantly feeling like I am bigger than I actually am. There's so much that goes into the number on the scale. Whatever number that shows up on that scale that morning, it does not tell you whether you have been stressed out, where in your cycle you are if you are a woman, where your hormones are at. Were you up all night taking care of your children because they were sick and you didn't sleep? Were you up last night because you were stressed? Were you helping a family member? Are you not eating properly? It doesn't show you any of that. All it shows you is the gravity of your body. It doesn't show you your muscles. It doesn't show you your organs. It defines nothing but just a number. But why do we still allow this to have so much power over us? And it comes down to messaging that we've had throughout our lives from your doctors, from your family, watching maybe a family member crash diet and always be fixated on a certain type of weight. My body being at a certain weight, Megan's body being at that same weight would not look the same. And we need to remind ourselves that we are all unique, and having those behaviors where you're getting up, the first thing you're doing is you're peeing, then you're stepping on the scale, and then you're allowing that to tell you how your day is going to go. It's really sitting back and seeing how you can change all of that and reflect and know that that number is simply a tool. It is not something that is meant to dictate how you are feeling. You could have the happiest day yesterday and you wake up and you step on that and you're noticing the number is up. Maybe it's up because you had a happy day and you went out and you had a little bit more salt intake. It's just really recognizing and then moving through that.
I find I struggled with my weight my whole life since I was very young, like preteens. And I went through this awkward stage where I used to be the cute girl, really thin when I was a child, really tiny. And then I hit that 11, 12-year mark and I don't know what happened. I just ballooned right up. I went into that awkward phase that everyone eventually hits. And so seeing that reflected back to me, I already didn't feel good about the way I looked. When I was going to a party, there would be like comments, "Oh, Megan used to be so cute. What happened?" Thinking I didn't hear those comments. And so when you're a child and you're hearing these things, it sticks with you. That's when I started. Oh, I need to watch what I'm eating. I was a very active child. I was in a lot of sports. I was always doing something. I was always busy. And so as I got older, I hit a bit of a growth spurt when I was about 15, 16, and the weight kind of shedded. However, the number was still larger. I was still roughly around like 140 pounds, but I was thin. Looking at the number, I would compare it to everybody else's number and realize like, oh my gosh, I'm so fat. Instead of looking at what I was seeing in the mirror, I had all this compulsion to work out, go to the gym. I was a teen. And yes, I do agree that physical activity is so important and so healthy for you. But on top of playing ice hockey, playing soccer, doing volleyball, basketball, I was doing all the things. And then I started going on to that militant route of, okay, I need to go to the gym. And of course, the weight did not go off. I went through this deep depression. I hated my body. I ended up on antidepressants when I was about 22 because I just hated myself. And when I went on the antidepressants, it gave me that spark back. It gave me energy. It gave me the ability to enjoy working out. And so I'd go every morning and I would work out and the weight just started to drop. It had nothing to do with all the things I was doing. It had to do with this tiny little pill. And so I got this deep sense of satisfaction and adrenaline when everyone would comment on how good I looked. Now, looking back, I realize how wrong that is to praise somebody on how they are losing weight and not really questioning, how are you losing weight? I was on pills. I was on antidepressants because I was so down and out about the way that I looked that I felt like I needed something extra. But I got so much validation from the external world that it just gave me that boost that I needed. Fast forward, I was at work one day. I got this blinding migraine. A doctor had to walk me all the way to Emerge. I couldn't speak. They thought that I had a stroke. And so I was stuttering a lot. That was like a big wake up call for me. It was the birth control that I was on. And they were thinking that maybe I had some sort of reaction to that. I had to go off of birth control. Now, at that time, I also wanted to go off my antidepressant. I gained so much weight. I was unrecognizable and I hated myself. This number just kept going higher and higher and higher, and there was nothing I could do about it. My hormones were out of whack, and it was so debilitating just to look at myself in pictures. It would put me through this downward spiral. I went again to the opposite end. I got back on the antidepressants because, I'm going to lose weight that way. I know it'll happen. And again, I went militant. I started working out and working out and working out and checking the scale and making sure that number was decreasing. And again, the weight started coming off and all the validation started rolling back in. So it was like that dopamine hit that I always needed. It wasn't until recently, in 2023, I started to find different tools, really healing my heart and deciding to go off of the antidepressants in September of 2023. And I was also off birth control in December of 2023. So I was putting my body through a cleanse. As Raju did as well, I was always on the scale, and that would really determine how my day was going to go. Is it going to be a good day? Is it not? In January 2023, I was so obsessed with working out. I worked out for 200 days in a row, did not give my body a chance to rest because I hated how I looked. I would eat all the right foods. I would jump on the scale every day. And guess what? Every day I'd have that hope, and then I'd step on the scale and it didn't move. And I made so much meaning of that I was doing the wrong thing, not eating the right foods, but I was doing everything right. And that is where the psychology around looking at a scale and the number to determine if you're healthy or not healthy. I was so healthy at that time. I was working out, I was eating nutritious foods, and I felt good on the inside. However, the scale did not reflect that, and that would bum me out. When I completed my 200 days, I was so obsessed, had the Apple Watch and I need to hit this many steps and I need to do this. And the obsession that came along with it, I have to close my rings. That was so big for me. I realized I had a problem. I was addicted to that feeling. And then not getting the result was putting me into a depression. So when I eventually cleansed my body in the fall of 2023, I went into it with a different mindset because I had noticed every time I had lost the weight previously and the scale reflected what I wanted it to reflect, I still hated myself on the inside. Being skinny didn't make me happy. It was just the world around me treated me differently, but I still hated myself. And that was the reflection that I needed to go into now my 30s, where I got off the antidepressants, I got off my birth control, and I was so afraid because of the last time I did that, I got so big. But that didn't happen this time. I stayed neutral. I stayed at the same weight. And then I started noticing I was having a lot of autoimmune issues. I have psoriasis, things started pulling on my skin, my eyes, my chest. And that's kind of where the pull to get off of all of these things came from. When I decided, what can I do to heal my body? Instead of looking at the scale, I decided to put the scale away. I was not going on it every day. I could not look at it because it would put me in such a spiral that I could not function. I started eating anti-inflammatory. I started doing the activities like dance and my walking pad and slowing down, lowering my cortisol, understanding my hormones. I started feeling really good and looking in the mirror and okay, this is working. This is happening. So then I decided to take out the scale because that should reflect on how I'm looking. Jump on the scale, didn't lose any weight. What is happening here? There's something wrong. It's taking into consideration that the scale isn't an accurate measure of how healthy you are. It's a tool for sure. But if you go by how you're feeling, if you go by eating whole foods that are nutritious, my body did look different. It's just the scale didn't reflect that. And I know I have other things that are going on inside my body that I'm slowly detoxing from. It has a role to play. Giving myself that space and that healing that I did in 2023, all of 2024, to really love the person inside. And that started reflecting on my outside. I don't struggle with the weight aspect anymore. I truly do love how I look. I love who I am, and I think it's a process and it's a struggle. Like some days are easier than others. When I go on the scale now, it's once a month. If that, I don't actually consciously even think about the scale anymore because I've done so much internal healing that how I feel is the direct correlation to how my looks are. So I feel like I'm glowing. I know that the number isn't going to change. The only time that the scale has ever changed for me is when I've gone on vacation and I've gone to Europe and I'm indulging, I'm having really good foods, I'm enjoying my time, I'm not stressed out, and I come home and I've dropped 10 pounds. So it's bringing the joy back. And then when I come back here, then of course it goes back up. You're hustling all the time. You have to do all these things. And it's when you give your body the chance to rest, to really come home to itself, you are able to release the weight that isn't meant to be there. I think we hold on to this number that you need to be, but your body, my body, has been in fight or flight mode for years. When all these symptoms started coming through, it's because I finally gave myself the chance to heal internally. And so my body felt like, okay, now's the time that we're going to try and show you that you have so much internal trauma that needs to be released. And now you're safe enough to let this unfold. So my body felt like, okay, you're safe enough. Let's heal these things. So slowly over time, I've been taking one trauma, healing it, taking another trauma, healing it. Slowly, slowly, slowly. It's not about doing it in 3 months, dropping 20 pounds or 40 pounds in 3 months. That's not the goal. It's healing what is internally going on inside for you. And slowly along the way, I've been doing that. And so my relationship with the scale has improved because I do not put weight into what that number is because I know I am doing everything right. And eventually, whatever weight is not meant to be there will fall away, and I'm not worried about it.
So, with what you were saying, that obsessiveness, like going back to the whole having the Apple Watch, the steps, that was something I was struggling with a lot. What I was finding is the more I talked about the steps, the more my algorithm on social media would change into 10K, 15K, 20K, 30K steps a day. blows my mind. I was so fixated on the steps that I would get up at work and I would start marching. And I mean, it's good to stand at work. I'm not saying it's not. Standing and like moving your body is good. You should be breaking up the time that you're sitting. But when I started obsessing about hitting the 10K, it was around that time I was noticing, okay, you're too obsessed with the scale. It's time to really step away from the step count. And I broke up with my Apple Watch. I took it completely off. And I'm glad I did that. It was earlier this year, and I have not looked back at it because I know I'm hitting enough steps that are beneficial for my health, not for my weight, but for my health. After I had my kids, it was like I needed something to control. And what could I control? What I put in my mouth, how much I moved my body, and what I thought I could control was what that number was on the scale. That was because I was so unhappy with how I looked. I did also go through a period in high school where I got a bit bigger, but then I lost weight. For majority of my life, I have always been on the smaller side. I'm very petite. I'm only 5'3". I'm not tall at all. So for me, if I gain 5 to 10 pounds, it is very noticeable. That was always stuck in my head that, you've always been a certain way. And like you said, Megan, even when I was the smallest, the fittest I've been, I still thought I was fat. It's that dysmorphia. It's that delusion. It's that you're never good enough and you're never going to be good enough. It doesn't matter if you hit that goal weight. I've already lost all my baby weight. However, it still wasn't good enough. It was really understanding where is this coming from? I had to really start processing, okay, you've gone through so much. Your husband passed away. You've had so many health issues in your family that has caused stressors in your life. You've gone through 2 postpartum journeys back to back. You've birthed 2 beautiful children. Your body has grown these children. I always tell them, Mama made your eyes, Mama made your arms, your legs, your whole body. They're amazed when I say that. A woman's body is so beautiful, no matter what shape, size it is. We are miracles. If you have the opportunity and are able to grow a baby inside of you, that is a fucking miracle. And why is it that once those babies come out, we are expected to bounce back? That pressure that society puts on us to go back to our pre-baby weight. That's what they call it. They don't even say you're getting fit again. It's your pre-baby weight. That pressure is what sends many of us down that cycle. Because once you lose weight, like Megan was saying, you get that dopamine hit because everyone's like, oh my God, you look so beautiful. You look so good. What have you been doing? Everyone's praising you and it gives you that satisfaction. But if you notice that when you're not feeling good, you're not going to get those compliments anyways because you're putting that out into the world. So you could be at that number that you want to be at, but because you went up zero 0.2 pounds, you may not be reflecting that same energy because inside you're like, oh my gosh, why am I at zero 0.2 pounds or half a pound now? Your whole day is dictated on that. And you will notice people's reactions to you, the reflection you're getting is also going to be the same as how you are feeling inside. So for me, weight has been an on and off struggle. And I think it's because I have had people comment on my weight. When I have been bigger, they've been like, oh, Raju's gaining weight. When I've been skinny, oh, you look so good. And it's like I'm getting that back and forth of like being praised and then being told, oh, you've gained weight. And I also am surrounded by a lot of people that are constantly talking about losing weight, how they want to look. And I was surrounded by that heavily in my 20s. And I recall one time I was doing all the right things. And I've said this before, I've been active for majority of my adult life. It was a part of mine and my husband's lifestyle. Our priority was to take care of our health as a whole. I remember one day in my 20s, it has stuck with me. They were these hot pink shorts. And I thought I looked so beautiful. And I did. And when my friend goes, oh, there comes Raju with her thunder thighs. And right there, I was like, oh my God, I need to lose weight. Are my thighs big? My thighs are not big. They are normal. And even if they are big, who cares? That's my body. That's my shape. And she commented on that. This was probably when I was the thinnest I've ever been my whole life. And that comment stuck with me for months, maybe even a year. I was doing all these leg exercises. I was stepping on the scale. I was like, okay, is things looking better? Taking progress pictures to see. And it destroyed my self confidence. I didn't want to wear shorts because I always thought I had fat legs because of that one comment. Having babies and having my, midsection change significantly, I've never had like a belly, if you want to say, having that change was hard for me to process. And then on top of that, going through grief, I just got so fixated. The only thing I can control in my life right now is what that number is, allowing it to make me feel like shit or allowing it to make me feel happy. That's where it's so important to really reflect and understand like, okay, this does not have power over me. I'm learning that and I'm getting better at it. I had a moment a couple of weeks back where I did not know what the number on the scale was, but I felt extremely bloated. I felt not good like inside of me in general. I was feeling lethargic. I could see I was bloated. I was noticing my clothes weren't fitting better. What did I do? I stepped on the scale immediately. I was like, okay, let me see. Oh my gosh, I'm up 4 pounds. What's going on? I had this conversation with Megan. After dissecting everything, we noticed that October was a heavy month for me. My nutrition was not on point. Also, for the last 3 years, I have not been eating as well as I used to eat when my husband was alive, because together we would eat nutritious foods, balanced diet, and I hadn't been doing that. So having a conversation with a friend and Megan reflecting that, hey, maybe try to change up things, try to have more whole foods. And as soon as I did that, within days, my energy levels increased and I felt so much better. And I noticed that when you're pouring into yourself and you're eating the right foods, you're moving your body the right way, not from punishment, but doing it from ways that make you feel good, that number no longer matters. Because now that feeling I had the week before of bloating had gone away. And yes, I had stepped on the scale then, and that number was showing that I had gained weight. But now I was feeling so much better. And I did do the bad thing and I stepped on the scale and I realized the number had gone down. But where it differed from the past was I really understood the power of fueling your body with the right foods, that what a difference it makes in your overall well being. It's not about that number that showed 4 pounds heavier. That was not fat gain. And that is so important to know. It can be water retention, especially if you're weighing yourself daily. You're not going to gain fat 5 pounds in one day. When I have sushi, I can probably gain 10 pounds for sure because it is just water weight. And that's where it's so important to differentiate. Is that scale actually showing fat gain? Which obviously, if you're gaining rapid weight and it keeps going up, that's not good. There's something going on in your body. But then it's really looking at, okay, what has my habits been? Have I been indulging more? Was I on vacation? I notice, and you hear this a lot, it is a lot of the foods we eat. They are very inflammatory. So if you notice, if you travel anywhere in North America, usually you go on vacation, you're up when you come home. But if you travel to Europe, like you said, you come home, your weight's down. But I also notice that it's not always like, okay, yes, if you're traveling, you're going to like all inclusive places, you may be indulging in more, higher fat, higher saturated, higher carbohydrate. Carbs going to make you hold water weight. I notice that when you travel and you're not stress traveling and you're really enjoying yourself and you're happy, you come back feeling so much better in your body. And yes, if you step on the scale, 8 out of 10 times, probably you are down. So that should remind you there that your daily stepping is not important because you having emotionally stable life and being happy reflects so much in who you are. And it's so much more important than that goddamn number.
Going back to what you were saying about reflections and how people were saying, oh, you look so skinny or you look so good. When that was happening for me, when I originally lost the weight when I was around 23, 24, and I was getting all these hits of like, oh, you look so good. Oh my gosh, have you lost weight? It gave me a dopamine hit, but then I was crashing because I didn't internally feel what everyone else was seeing. My weight is more than it was when I was in my 20s. I get so many compliments, reflections, walking down the street from strangers. When I get these reflections from these strangers now, it's not a dopamine hit. It's more of a, oh, thank you. Thank you, because I already know, I already feel it within myself. So I'm not going from one end of the pendulum, feeling that high and then crashing because I didn't believe it back then. Now I'm getting these reflections. I'm saying, thank you. That is very sweet. Holding that in my heart and continuing on my day because I feel that now. And I never thought I would get to the point where I was at my quote unquote heaviest and getting all these people coming up to me. You look so good. Your outfit's so put together. You know, you're glowing. And even like the reflections from Raju saying like, you look so good. Like, have you lost weight? I had not lost a single pound, you guys. The weight did not move. So for me, that was so disheartening. The more I started to feel good and be happy in the skin that I had, the more that reflected to the outside world, and people were really seeing me because I saw myself. I loved myself when I looked in the mirror. I did a lot of reflection in the mirror and speaking to myself in the mirror naked because I couldn't even look at myself naked. That was very difficult for me. Anytime I'd get out of the shower, I wouldn't even look at my reflection, quickly put a towel on, hated myself. But now I'll walk around my whole apartment naked. Like, I feel so good in the skin that I have, and I have so much reverence for everything my body has gone through, all the hate my body has gone through, the hate that I gave myself, the hate others gave me, the trauma, and just loving the skin that I am in changed the game for me. The more that I healed that little girl inside who thought she got her worth because she was skinny, that's not worthiness. Your weight is not your worth. Who you are, what your passions, your desires, being authentic, being yourself, that is worthiness. We are all worthy. No matter if you're 110 pounds, no matter if you're 150 pounds, 200 pounds, whatever weight is not meant to be there will fall away. Just start healing that girl inside of you.
Also, when you look at yourself in the mirror and you're about to pick yourself apart, I think just look at yourself and point out one beautiful thing about yourself that you see reflecting back at you. You know, say, thank you. Thank you, body. I love you so much. You carry me through my day. You have been there for me to hold me up, to stand me up during the most difficult times in my life. Thank you for carrying my children if you're a mom. Thank you for taking me through all the traumatic experiences and moving me through all of them. Thank you for waking up this morning. I think those are more important than stepping on the scale and being like, oh gosh, my weight is high, my weight is down. Your body is there to carry you through life, and it is not defined by that one number. And I think that's where we really want to put emphasis on. What I have noticed is that I am my happiest when I don't step on the scale. It's when I am fueling my body for what I need for that day, for where I am in my cycle, for how my body is feeling. If I'm tired, moving my body according to that. Do I need a stretch? Do I want to do a long walk today? Versus moving my body because the number has gone up and moving it for punishment. And that's where I am slowly untethering from the hold the scale has had on me. I want all of you to know that it's not something that you can step away from right away. For me, it is a journey I've been on for this last year of where I'm getting better. Sometimes I go back and then I'm getting better and better and better. I don't believe in just throwing the scale away. I think that might spiral you into other types of anxiety or other ways of controlling maybe what you think your weight might be in that time. I think it's slowly stepping away. It's almost like unconsciously uncoupling from your relationship with the scale.
How you carry that weight, that number when you're in your 20s compared to how you carry it in your 30s is vastly different. There are multiple times when I've said, "Oh, I weigh X, Y, and Z," and they're like, "What? No, that's not possible. You don't look like you weigh that much." And when I weighed the exact same, say in my 20s, I carried it so differently. Your body changes. How you hold and carry that weight changes. The food that you eat changes what's going on the inside. Just being mindful that the number on the scale does not reflect what your body is feeling and fueling within. Be easy on yourself. Know that it's a step by step, moment by moment journey. And if you resonate with this episode and you are feeling like, hey, I also feel that way, you're not alone. I think so many of us are so focused and fixated on a number. I know for myself, every year for New Year's, it was, okay, I'm going to be this number. It's not I'm going to feel good. Now, within the last 2 years, of course, my intentions for New Year's always change. It's more, I want my skin to be looking more glowy because I'm eating more vegetables, incorporating that, losing weight as an intention for the year. Because by the end of the year, say you haven't lost that weight, you go through that downward spiral of what the hell, the weight didn't come off. I've done all these things and it's not changing. And then I've noticed for myself in the last couple of years, not putting a number to my intention, how joyful and beautiful I feel, and not feeling like I've let myself down because I haven't achieved that number that I set out at the beginning of the year.
If you have been carrying the weight of the number, we want you all to know that you are more than the number. You always have been, and you always will be. And your life is allowed to change and shift. You're allowed to go through body changes. You're not failing. That number is not a reflection of anything other than just a tool, and it does not define you. And having said that, we love you all so much, and we will see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in to Sacredly Selfish. Stay connected with us on Instagram and TikTok at Sacredly Selfish. And if this episode spoke to you, be sure to follow, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs the reminder that choosing yourself is sacred, not selfish.